We were planning this event that we thought it would be a wonderful way to close out Black History Month, to have a forum that celebrates activism in our local community and those folks who make that happen. So the folks who are out there working in our community to make it a better place for people of color. The forum is going to be moderated by our city president, city SGA president, Amara, who will be up here asking questions. Unfortunately, because of the weather, we have had a couple of the panelists who are either en route or unable to be here today. But we will continue to hold the panel, and then we will offer an opportunity for students to ask questions at the end. So without further ado, I would like to bring Amara to the microphone.
Thank you, Dean Perry. Welcome, everybody. This is our forum. I hope you all enjoy. Here we have Dr. Kamala Poles here talking with us. First question I want to ask you. Can you tell us your name, educational accomplishments, and your current profession?
Okay, so my name is Dr. Kamala Poles. As Amara said, I am a ECC alumni. I started at ECC, I can't even remember the year, but I started straight out of high school, so I believe that's '06, and I continued my education at University at Buffalo. Unfortunately, I didn't finish at University at Buffalo because I couldn't afford it anymore. We all know about those hard times. And then I continued my education at Buffalo State College, and I obtained my bachelor's in applied sociology, and then I went on to get my master's in adult education, and now I have my doctorate. I got my doctorate at North Central University, and it's in higher education and leadership. And I currently am a youth director at Buffalo Center Arts and Technology.
Okay. What do you do to serve the Buffalo community, and how long have you been in a leadership status?
Okay, so I advocate. I advocate not only for our youth in the community, but I advocate for the adults as well. And I do that proudly because we need someone to advocate for us, especially if we can't advocate for ourselves. A lot of trauma that I've dealt with employees has helped me advocate for them and help them advocate for themselves. I advocate for the youth in our community because they're underrepresented, and I want them to know that they have someone that has their back and that supports them in everything that they do. So I've been on this journey, I want to say, for the last 10 years. It might be more. My numbers are, get misconstrued throughout the time because I don't count the numbers, I count the kids. And I count the lives that I impact. And that is my goal in life, is to impact as many lives as I can before I leave this earth.
I hear that. What are some adversities that you've confronted as an African American in your personal life and your professional life that brought you to where you are now?
Okay, so adversities. Being a Black woman in our community is always being adversity. So I feel like I have had challenges with schooling from a young age. I remember being in grammar school and they wanted to put me in special ed. And my mother was my greatest advocate, and she said, no, not my child. And she got me tested, and she said, I'm not a special ed student. I just don't learn the way you teach. Mm-hmm. And that I have carried that on with me for my whole life because that's what I ended up doing my dissertation on, is the accessibility of online learning to disabled students. And that's a short version. But I have carried that on because everybody doesn't learn the way people teach. And I know that is important because a student won't grasp something if you don't teach the way they learn. So when I present or when I do any type of work, I try to make sure I cater to everyone's learning. And I think I do it pretty well. But I faced that adversity. I faced, when I was in high school, a lot of teachers didn't believe that I was going to make it. I was a troubled kid. I would say that I was a troubled kid. Troubled kids look different now, but I definitely think that I was a troubled kid, and I just didn't know my purpose, and I didn't know my vision, and I think that's important to know that, to continue life in general, and not your purpose in your educational status or your work status, but your personal purpose. Like, my purpose is to affect as many lives as I can, and to get people to not agree, but understand people that are not them. And I think that's important because if you learn someone, if you hear someone's story, you understand why they behave the way they are today. And I've learned that in many aspects of my life because I also work at Child and Family Services as a child care therapy aide, and I've been there for 9 years. And I work with troubled kids, and I know their story, and I know why they behave the way they are, and it helps me navigate and help them because I know their path, I know where they came from, and I know where they can go if they just change their narrative. And you can change your narrative at any point of your life. So I think that those adversities helped me become the person that I am today. Of course, there are many, many adversities that I faced. I was just talking with my colleagues at work, and I remember just being singled out playing volleyball as a kid. I was always the tallest, and I was always the only black person playing volleyball, so they always wanted to see my birth certificate. So they didn't believe that I was the age that I was, and my mother was like, no, not my child, and we're gonna see everyone's birth certificate if that's the case. My mother never let me feel secluded, but I knew what was going on behind the scenes. I remember actually going to a poetry camp, and I didn't understand what was happening, but I went there for about 5 years. And 1 year, my last year there, everybody's poetry gets published in a book. And my instructor said that they weren't going to publish my work. And, my mom was like, what is the reason? And they said, well, my poem was too short. So I made another poem, and they still said they weren't going to include my poetry. And my mother was not having it. They ended up, publishing my work, but my mother pulled me out of the program because she did not want me to feel secluded. She did not want me to feel those discriminations, even the racist behavior. My mother did not want me to feel that, and she shielded us from that for a lot of our lives. But as I got older, I saw more, and and I was just telling Amara before we started, as I become older, I become more woke, and it's heavy. It's heavy to navigate that sometimes. But when you're put in positions like myself and like Amara, you have to hold that. You have to hold that, and you have to control that, and you have to change that narrative. So I feel like, again, that's a part of my job, is to change that narrative, not only for myself, but the people that I interact with on a daily basis.
Thank you for that. That was amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
What is an occasion as a community leader that touched you the most?
I think what has touched me the most is to have youth speak their truth, have youth and adults speak their truth. I think it's important for us to create platforms for them to be able to speak on how they feel and what they feel, and the anxieties and the mental health. I think it's important for us to create those platforms for people to be able to speak on their lives and what they experience, because it gives us a better sense of who they are and how we can help them and how we can help them navigate through life.
What is some guidance that you can give students about serving the Buffalo community or serving your community in general and being an active role in the community?
I'm sorry, Mari, can you repeat?
No, it's okay. What is some guidance that you can give students about serving and being an active role in our community?
I think the guidance would be an open heart and an open mind. because everybody that you encounter and everybody that you see is going to have a different story and a different background. I think not being judgmental, being empathetic, and that's something that I had to learn throughout my journey in life as well, is to be more empathetic, because we don't know what happens to a child or what happens to a youth when they go home. We don't know what they experience. We don't know what they see. So we have to have an open heart and an open mind to grasp them and to help them. If we don't have an open heart and an open mind, they end up, closing themselves out to us, and we are not being able to live in our purpose and to help them live in their purpose. So I think it's important that we just always have an open mind and an open heart and have a big heart, because I have so many youth and so many adults that live in my heart, because I know they need me and I'm here for them because that's my purpose. So just to navigate that, and if you are big on helping our community, then you have to be active. You have to be active and live in your truth and be true to what you say and live that. I'm not the perfect person, and I explain that and I tell my youth about my experiences and the things that I live today, so let them know that you are not alone, and that's important.
Thank you so much for answering those questions. We have a lot of extra time, so I'm going to give this time to students who want to ask any questions. Anybody have any questions to ask? Go ahead. Are the mics on?
Hi. So I am a Black student here at ECC, and I'm wondering how ECC is promoting Black awareness and diversity when in its African American history class, slavery is excluded from the curriculum. How do we change that, and how can we hope for strong Black leaders from this generation when its youth aren't educated properly about their own history?
I love that question, but could you speak in the mic so everybody can hear that question?
Oh, sorry. I'll just repeat it. I am a Black student here at ECC, and I'm wondering how ECC is promoting Black awareness and diversity when in its African American history class, slavery is excluded from the curriculum. How do we change that, and how can we hope for strong Black leaders from this generation when its youth aren't educated properly about their own history?
Well, I can answer that as someone who's a part of the Student Government Association. That is something that you want to bring to our attention, especially to your Student Government Association here at your campus. That is a problem, because you know your history and we all know our history, and our history should be represented, especially through education. So if that is a problem that you find and you deem that is definitely something that can be changed, so talk to your SGA and we can change that for you. We can go up to the chain of command and we can fight that and get that curriculum change, make it a topic of conversation.
Thank you.
No problem.
If I could respond too, there is a college curriculum committee on campus that reviews all of the curriculum at the college, and I think I'll go on the record as saying I think it's embarrassing that a course in Black history doesn't include conversation about slavery, considering that is a foundational part of the Black American experience, and I mean literally shaped Black American experience. So I think that there are, I as a dean of students have, I have some clout. You as students have a whole lot more. So I would recommend that you work with Student Government Association and work with your student trustee, Marcel Suarez Pinero. He has office hours here at North Campus. He has a direct seat on the Board of Trustees and can bring that to them so that they are aware that that is a massive concern.
Yes. Any more questions?
Don't be shy.
I know I got here late, but I don't know who you are or what you do, so what is that?
Absolutely. So, as I spoke to earlier, I'm Dr. Kamala Pose. I'm a youth director at Buffalo Center Arts and Technology. That's just one of many hats that I do wear, but I also work at Child and Family Services as a child care therapy aide. I've been there for 9 years, and I work with behavior issue kids. So that's just a tidbit of what I do, but I got my doctorate in higher education and leadership.
Any other questions?
Please don't be shy. I love to talk.
I don't have any questions, but I just want to tell you your story is so amazing because all the trials and the tests that you face, you know, being a black woman, how did you keep pushing with, you know, like you was talking about how the teachers went against you being a black, you know, young woman. How did you keep pushing and then continue your education as you did?
So I would say that having a great support system, and your support system doesn't have to look like your mother, your father, your sister. Build a table. I was just telling Amari about this. I took a class. So I took a class, a workshop last week, and it was about building your table. And when you start living in your purpose, and you know your purpose, and you know your vision, you want to build a table around you that supports your vision and supports your purpose. So that could look like your friends, that could look like your auntie, that could look like your sister, your cousin, but you want to build a good support and tight system. And when I say that, they don't always have to be your immediate friends, because sometimes your friends don't support your dreams and your aspirations. So you want to build a table and a support system around you that supports you and supports your dreams and your goals and your aspirations. So I think that what helped me navigate through that, of course, my family was amazing. They were my biggest support system. But I think that resilience. And resilience doesn't have to look like what people say, like you just have to keep going, you got to hold stuff in, you can't, let stuff out. I've cried so many times. I've locked myself in bathrooms when I had a paper due at midnight and it's 11 o'clock at night and I didn't know how I was going to get it done. You could still be resilient through that because after I wiped those tears away, I got that paper done. Right. So it doesn't have to look like that, but resilience and just pushing yourself. I wasn't the smartest cookie, trust and believe that, but resilience and consistency got me where I'm at today. So just staying positive and just keep pushing yourself. It's a lot of invocations that I say to myself every day. I look myself in the mirror and I say these things every single day. I always bring invocations to my meetings. That's how I start my meetings off with my staff. And then I get their feedback. Like, how did that make you feel? Things like that. So even having those conversations with your friends and your families, like, how are you feeling? Like, what are you going through today? From 1 to 10, give me 2 words of your day. Things like that, and it helps you navigate through the tough times. I still go through tough times, so it's good to be able to lean on your support system when you do go through tough times. So just staying focused and being resilient. And staying focused and being resilient doesn't mean you can't party. You can't do certain things. Let me tell you, I partied, and I went home, and I got those papers done, and I got that schoolwork done. I left parties early, like I got to get that paper done, but I still did it. At the end of the day, you can still do it. It's called work and life balance, and it's possible, and you can do it, but you have to be focused. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, you know what your goal is. I tell people all the time, you can take anything from me, but you can't take my degrees.
Amen. Okay. Yes.
I like to live by the saying, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. And I think that has like a big, strong meaning to what you were saying. And you have to build connections with your families and friends to like, you know, be successful in the future. I mean, all you really need is yourself, but when you have such a strong bond with family and friends that really support your future and stuff, I feel like it's a really big advantage for you to be like, you know, a successful person in the future.
No, absolutely. I absolutely agree. But I also, you know, you weren't here, but I also mentioned that sometimes family ain't it. You know,
Family is number one. That's all I got to say.
family sometimes is not it because sometimes they work against you as well. You know, I've met so many kids and I've been around so many people in my life that they tell me that their family have been jealous of them and jealous of their success, you know. So you want to keep those people around you, and your friends can be your family. I have friends that I've had for 15, 20 years, and I say, like, that's my family. You know, I bring them to all my family events. I bring them to all my family stuff, and they bring me into their family. And I always say that's my extended family because they support me as much as my family has. So, yeah, definitely keep your family and your friends close, but I also keep my enemies closer.
100%. Like, you know, like you said, family can also, you know, be extremely jealous of you and your successes. But, you know, at the same time, if you have a loving family, you know, they're there to support
Absolutely.
you. They're there to help you build your career, your future. And, you know, like, one time my dad and my brother, or not my brother, my dad and my dad's brother, I'm sorry, they had this house in Lebanon. And, like, my grandpa, he owned it, and he passed it down to them. But, you know, it's hard for them to decide on who gets to keep it. And my grandpa told them, you know, 50-50, you guys split it. But, you know, my dad's brother, he kept the whole thing. My dad had to put a lawsuit against him to, you know, get 50% of the equity. And it's just unfortunate. You know, sometimes, like you said, family could be jealous of your successes, and they don't want to see you succeed sometimes. And it's unfortunate.
No, absolutely. So you just, you know, spoke to the truth that I just spoke. But absolutely, I definitely agree. But you just want to build that support system for you. Anybody else have any questions?
Why do you say keep your enemies closer, but like your...
So I say that because sometimes you will work for an enemy. You will work for somebody that doesn't have the same purpose and the vision as you, but you work for them. You know, and that's the person that you answer to, and that's your supervisor. And unless you're going to get out that job, I always say don't ever leave a job unless you have a plan. You always have to have a plan before you leave another job because, you know, you have finances, you have bills. So I always say keep your enemies closer because they could teach you something. And they can teach you something about yourself, and they can teach you about who you don't want to deal with and who you don't want to be. So I always take people that I may not agree with and or I may not understand. I try to understand everybody, but I may not agree with everything that they do, but they have taught me something along the way. So I always said, when I become a leader, I'm not going to be like that. Or when I become a leader, I'm not going to, you know, show those type of negative things to my staff. You know, I want to create an environment for my staff to be successful, and that's what I do. I create an environment for them to be successful and for them to 100% know that I have their back no matter what. And I'll tell my staff if they're wrong, but I also tell them when they're right. And I always start with a positive before I give the negative, because I want them to know that I care about you, I appreciate you, I appreciate your work, but this thing that you did wasn't good, and we have to figure out how we can navigate that differently. So you always want to keep your enemies closer because, you know, you don't want somebody to stab you in your back. If you're going to do me wrong, do it in my face.
Any other questions?
What's your story? The way you hold yourself and when you talk in your tone, it looks like you went through some stuff and overcame. Like I could hear that in your voice and your tone and the way you dress. I'm good at reading people.
Okay, hold on. Let me take a sip of water.
This is too loud. Holy shit. Squeakers.
I would like it if you didn't just shout in the mic like that, please.
All right, buddy, calm down.
Yo, you need to watch your
Guys,
words,
this isn't
man.
about
Calm down,
you.
bro. Chill out.
Thanks.
No, I get it. We like to have fun, and I like to have fun too. But you gotta always know when it's the time. You always gotta know your place, and you gotta remember that. You know, I always sit in the background in a lot of meetings because I speak with a purpose. I don't speak just to speak, because who cares about what you got to say? unless you got something meaningful to say. So because you weren't here, you didn't hear my story. I've been through a lot in my life. I've been through a lot of adversities that got me to where I am today. I am a ECC alumni. I started off at ECC, and I do believe in the saying, start here, you go anywhere, because I'm a doctor today. So I started off at ECC. I went to Buff State, obtained my undergraduate and my master's. My undergraduate was in applied sociology, and my graduate was in adult education, and now I got my doctorate in higher education and leadership. I appreciate that. But like I was telling them earlier, I have faced a lot of adversities. When I was in grammar school, they wanted to put me in special ed. My mother was my greatest advocate, and she was like, no, not my child. And she got me tested, and I wasn't special ed. I wasn't belonging in special ed. I just didn't learn the way people taught. I was a different type of learner, and I dealt with that throughout my whole career. That's why I got my master's and my doctorate all online. And people don't think it's possible, but it is. It's one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life, but it was worth it. Because ultimately, I felt like I was teaching myself anyway. In class, I used to read and make my own notes. I never paid attention to the lesson because that's not how I learn. So I navigated through that. And once I was able, online wasn't a thing really when I was growing up. I'm still fairly young. But I felt like online was the best way to be taught. And that's why that was really good that they, implemented that in schools, because everybody doesn't learn by a lecture hall. Everybody doesn't learn by PowerPoints. I like to touch. I was a physical learner. And I realized that when I got my graduate, what type of learner I was. So it's important to understand what type of learner you are, because sometimes you might sit in class and you bang your head like, I don't understand, but you have to learn and grasp of what type of learner you are so that you can obtain the education that you want. And if you're invested in your education, you'll do that. Like I was saying, I been through a lot in my life. I didn't think I was going to finish my doctorate. Like I was telling Amara before, my mother passed away during the time I was finishing my doctorate, and I just didn't think, I felt defeated because she was the one who got me there. But I spoke to my professor, and in reality, a lot of people don't care what you're going through. But I gave my story to my professor, and my professor was like, okay, but you can fill out all this paperwork and you can get time off. And as much paperwork that they gave me, I could just finish my degree. So I did that. And it was hard. It was a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of crying, a lot of banging my head against the wall. I definitely lived that life of blood, sweat, and tears. It took blood, sweat, and tears to get to where I'm at today. And I'm proud to be able to stand here before you guys today to even talk to you, to speak my truth, to tell my story. It's been an amazing journey. And I always tell people life is a roller coaster. You're going to have highs and you're going to have lows, but you got to roll with the punches. And you do, and like I said, support system is important to get through the things that you go through in life. So, that's my truth. Anyway,
God bless you.
Anybody else have any questions? I'm an open book, so you can ask me anything. I really don't care. Anybody? I don't bite.
What's something that you learned? Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh,
Go ahead.
sorry. Did
No.
you want to say something?
No. Please.
I was going to ask, would you do it all again to be where you are today?
I probably would do things a little differently, but I would do it the same. I would do it the same because if I didn't face the obstacles, I wouldn't be the person that I am today.
What would you have done differently?
I probably would have saved a little bit more money. I probably would go for a second doctorate. I love school. I love to educate myself. And because I don't have enough money to be able to do that, I just continue to educate myself outside of it. So anything that I could take advantage of, any opportunity that is brought to me, I try to take advantage of it. I always tell people, be comfortable with being uncomfortable. And I say that because y'all think it's easy to sit here talking to y'all, but it's not. I get nervous just like anybody else. I get scared just like anybody else, but I've learned how to navigate those things, and I've learned how to be able to speak my truth. If I'm not here to speak my truth, how can I help you? How can I help others? How can I help you speak their truth? And it's important. My team always tell me I'm the ringleader of any job that I've ever been. They always like, you're the ringleader. But so being a part of the ringleader, you have to step up in those tough situations, and you have to be able to speak proudly about your journey, about what you've been through, and everything that you have done. And I do. I've been through a lot in my life. Like I was telling Amara, I played basketball for ECC. I was second in the nation for rebounds. And, you know, they used to call me the Hulk on the court, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, because I was crazy. But I was a beast. I was a beast on the court, but unfortunately, my career in basketball ended early because I tore my ACL and MCL. I tore my ACL and MCL when I was in high school. And then I didn't think I was going to be able to play basketball anymore. But I also remember that my purpose changed because I thought I was going to the WNBA. That was my vision. So I thought that, but my trajectory changed, and I realized that I'm here for the people. You know, I'm here for in a different capacity. I could tell I still play basketball. I play basketball with the youth all the time in the summer. They be like, "No, we not doing it, Miss K. We not doing it, Doctor." But I love it. I love to play basketball. I love sports in general. I played a lot of sports growing up. But yes, I tore my ACL and MCL when I was a sophomore in high school. And then I did my shoulder at ECC, actually. I dislocated my shoulder at ECC in a basketball game, and I was out for 4 hours before they was able to put it back in. I actually sat on a court for 30 minutes before the ambulance showed up, and then the hospital was overcrowded, so I was sitting in the hallway with my shoulder out. Jesus, dislocated. And I didn't, that was my first experience, so I didn't know how. They was a little nervous. Because if you pop your shoulder back in wrong, it's over. And I still deal with that today. I'm an extreme athlete, so I work out, and I'm trying to get into powerlifting, and it's a lot. Because I want to be able to tap myself in anything that I want to do. That's why I said you could do anything you want in life. You just got to tap into it. So I'm actually going to get my personal trainer certification because I want to be able to teach youth and teach kids that, you know, we can work out and have fun. I love it. I go to the gym 4 days a week, and it's a 75-year-old man that is a power lifter, and he's amazing, and he teaches me every single day. And that's why I say you can learn from anybody. Anybody can teach you something. This man teaches me stuff every time I go to the gym, but it's tough because my shoulder is still weak. My shoulder actually just pops out like 2 months ago, and I couldn't get it back in. But you know, I went to the hospital, they got it back in for me, and now I'm back. You know, so that resilience. You know, just in case, you know, something does happen, you can always get back. They thought I wasn't coming back to the gym. I came back the next day. But it's important to be resilient and keep going after your dreams and your goals and your aspirations. And it's not going to look like how you think it's going to look. It's going to change. Just be prepared for the change and be able to navigate change. I know when I was younger, I didn't like change. I was like, oh, no, I always had a plan. And a plan is made to be broken. Plans are made to be broken. So, like I said, I wanted to be something different. I told Amara I wanted to be a physical education teacher when I started at ECC. That changed real quick. But that's where I'm at today,
Other than a dislocated shoulder, what did you learn or experience at ECC that you took with you?
Oh, I had amazing professors. I had amazing professors here. My basketball team, my squad, they help you. They help you navigate. Being a part of something, I think in general, helps you navigate through life. It helped me learn teamwork. It helped me learn camaraderie. It helped me learn that it's not just me. I support a whole bunch of other people. So if I fail, my team fails. If I fail, if I don't have my grades right, I can't play basketball. So I'm failing my team. I learned so much from ECC. And like I said, that motto, you start here, you go anywhere, is true. Because I was able to conquer my dreams. And I think that a lot of professors at ECC believed in me more than I believed in myself, and I needed that because it helped me, it pushed me in the direction that I needed to go. I always tell people it's two different pathways you could go. You could go to the negative or you go to the positive. It's your choice. Life is about choices. Make the right choice. Anybody else have any questions? Any comments?
Was it a little of a struggle when you left college? Like, were you a little confused on what your next moves were? Or did you always have a plan after?
So are you talking about when I finished all my degrees?
Yeah.
Well, I felt like I was a lifer in school, When you start working on your doctorate, it becomes repetitive. And I was discouraged. Like when you start writing those chapters of the dissertation, it's pretty repetitive. And I'm writing the same thing over and over and over again. And now, I wrote a book, essentially, and it's published. But it was a lot. And when I finished school, I still woke up in sweats, I got an assignment due. I got something that I got to be doing. It's something I'm missing. So yes, it's a struggle when you get out, but when you know your purpose and you live in your purpose, it was kind of easy to navigate after that. I know that I didn't want to finish. I wanted to finish on top. So doing my doctorate to me was finishing on top. It's no way. I always tell people, when you hit rock bottom, it's nowhere else to go but up. Where else you going? So when people say, when you say that you at your lowest, okay, so where we going from here? So yeah, it was a struggle, but I think that it was easy to navigate because again, I had that support system and I had resilience and I wasn't going to stop, and it's the days that I do feel like I want to stop and I'll be like, this is a lot. I go to a lot of meetings every day. I do a lot of public speaking. I do a lot of trainings. But I have people that lean on me and that, I need to be there for, and they want to see me strive and succeed because then they know they could do it. So it's hard, but it's possible. Anybody have any other questions?
How'd you come across finding the foundation for yourself to work yourself up?
So again, it's that support system. Creating that system around you that is not going to let you stop. That's not going building that table. You got to build that table. And I always tell people it doesn't have to be one table. I have many tables. I have my close friends that I grew up with that we may not hang out every day, but we talk and we communicate with each other. And they tell me about their endeavors and I tell them about mine. I have a professional table. I have a table for my purpose. So I have many tables that I have that are amongst me every single day. So just creating those tables to help you. And ultimately, you have it within yourself, but you got to find it within yourself. Because when you do your doctorate, they always say you want to do it with somebody that's doing the same thing you doing because they're going to help you. I never find that. I never found somebody to do my doctorate with. I was going to do it with my mother, but she ended up getting sick and passing away. But I didn't have that, which I think made things a little harder. But I never stopped. I said, I paid all this money. I'm not going to not finish. And that's how you got to look at it. When you spend a whole bunch of money to go to school, you be like, I'm not about to give up because I'm gonna have all this debt at the end. So I might as well finish. I might as well have something to show for all this money that I spent. And that, I mean, I'm in debt now. So but I have something to show for it. And I'm proud of that. And I'm proud to be able to say that. And it's different, I feel like, for myself because I'm a black woman. And people don't really want to hear what you got to say if you don't got nothing behind your name. And it's unfortunate to say that, but my respect level and people's respect for me changed as I obtained so many degrees and so much knowledge. And it's not, to me, I feel like everybody has importance. I feel like everybody in this room, just because you didn't finish school yet, you have some importance. So stand firm on your beliefs, your vision, your goals, your aspirations. Stand firm on that. Believe in that. Because if you believe in yourself, all the other people will believe in you. You know, stay strong in everything. You know, I always say you got to stand for something or you're going to fall for anything. You know, so you have to stand on some type of foundation, whatever that is and whatever that looks like for you. You have to stand on something. And just because something might be hard or you have a narrative right now, you can change that narrative. This is not your life forever. You know, I always tell people that because it's just right now. But your life will change as life goes on. And you got to remember that. You know what I'm saying? You may have made a bad decision or you may have done something wrong, but you can change that narrative. It's just up to you to do it. Any other questions?
Since you was like a free athlete, right? What's the chances of me you have a one-on-one?
We can have a one-on-one. Definitely, I'll give you my card.
Try to go against the Hulk.
Any other questions? Any comments?
I will bet on that. All right, I got my money on her. Just being honest.
Any questions?
Any other questions? Go ahead.
Do you think it's better to start at a community college?
Say that one more time, I'm sorry.
Do you think it's better to start out at a community college than going straight to the four-year college?
Well, I can only speak for me, and I can only speak for myself. It definitely was beneficial for me because when I finished high school, I didn't know what I wanted to do with life. I didn't know what my purpose was. I didn't develop that yet. So I think that ECC helped me find my purpose and find what I wanted to do in life. And I didn't have to spend that much money to do it. So I think that ECC definitely helped me, and I think that it does help a lot of people, but it depends on what you want to do in life, and it depends on how fast you're trying to obtain something. And I feel like people always look at other people and where their accomplishments are in life and be like, I want to be there and I want to do that, but it's on your time. You have to remember that, you know what I'm saying? Because honestly, if it's not your time, you're going to keep failing at it. Everything is given to you on your time. I thought that I was never going to finish school, but I had to do it on my time. And I had to do it, living in my purpose. And because I wasn't living in my purpose, it wasn't happening. And I feel like ECC matured me. I was a kid. I was a troubled kid. And I think I got all that out when I was at ECC. And I was like, once I finished ECC and I obtained that degree, I was focused. I went to Buff State and I was focused. I created those tables around me of people that was focused. I had these groups of people that I hung with, and we hung together until we finished. We pushed each other to finish. So again, creating those tables and creating those people around you that want the best for you, and you'll know it. You'll know who want the best for you, who doesn't want the best for you. You have to see it. And I always tell people that when somebody show you who they are, believe them. Because they're going to just keep showing you who they are until you believe them. So believe them the first time so you don't have to keep going through them heartbreaks. But yes, ECC definitely helped me. Any other questions? Go ahead.
I just wanted to say, how wonderful it's been to hear from such a beautiful, educated woman of color and, how inspirational and empowering it is, your story.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. That was my goal.
Yeah. Clap it up.
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else? Anything else?
Well, if there's no other questions, I think we can end it here. Thank you, everybody, for coming. I hope you enjoyed and were informed. Thank you, Dr. Kamala Poles, for being here. You definitely inspired me for my journey. And I know you inspired them. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much for sharing your experience with us.
Oh, no, absolutely. Anytime. I will come back anytime for you, Amara. But I just want to say to you guys, live in your purpose, live in your truth, and you can always change your narrative. And good luck to you guys and everything that you have going on with your life and your endeavors. But everything that you've been through in life doesn't define who you are. And remember that, okay?
Thank you.